Highguard is shutting down to the surprise of no one, even Vice, which normally would be like, look, all the bigots and the rage baiters, they all got Highguard shut down. They're even like, yeah, this is totally going to happen. There's no way to avoid this. So Highguard was, again, a high-profile AAA, I guess I'm using finger quotes, first-person shooter from the people who I think they worked on Apex. And this thing was unveiled during the Game Awards the end of last year, and everybody thought it was going to be, well, not everybody. Jeff Keighley thought it was going to be the next big thing. He unveiled it. Turned out this game was bankrolled by Tencent, and they were trying to make it out like it was an indie game, and players just roundly rejected it. They did. And, the negativity on the internet might have played a part into it, but that wasn't the sole reason this game failed. But Vice is even like, this is the next Concord. And Concord was Sony. That was a huge game. Failure. It was like a record time. I think they shut it down in like a week or two after they released it. And that was like a DEI shooter, basically. It was like, how can we out Overwatch? All right. So let's talk about this. This is a massive disaster. A massive disaster. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Bear with me here. I am ill this week. I'm trying to muddle through some videos. Geeky's been taking over for me when I can't do it. Thank you, Geeky, for that. I'll have to make it up to you later. Speaking of which, you can pick up the Geeky Sparkles Raging Enamel pin. We launched a campaign for that. It's a micro campaign on Kickstarter, so no, we're not going to do $300,000 on a pin. But it's just one pin, and some of the other pins that we have left. If you want to check it out, you've got about a day and a half, and also Crimson Wren. We reoffered that. That is also. It's no longer live, but you can do late pledges, which I think is awesome. Kickstarter lets you do that now. That's one thing that Indiegogo had to its credit, was you could pledge after the fact. Kickstarter allows you to do that now too, so awesome. Check it out. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is coming from Vice. I was very surprised because, again, they're all like, the bigots and the Nazis and the misogyny and that. No, they're like, yeah, Highguard became gaming's next Concord in only 45 days. Highguard's shutting down. Here's the full timeline explaining how the Game Awards reveal, backlash, and player drop led to its collapse. So yeah, they announced that they're shutting it down 45 days after launch. How did a new game from the creators of Apex Legends fall apart so quickly? Well, how much time you got? Here is everything that went wrong with Highguard and how the Game Awards reveal quickly became the next Concord. Highguard shutdown timeline, how it happened 45 days. Okay, on March 3rd, Wildlight Entertainment announced they were permanently shutting down Highguard after failing to sustain enough players for it. The news was surprising, given that just over 2 months ago, the multiplayer title was featured as the final reveal at the Game Awards in 2025. Yeah, and that spot is reserved for, let's see here. Yeah, that spot is usually reserved for like a very high-profile game. And here it turns out that it was actually bankrolled by Tencent, right? The game's quick closure immediately drew comparisons to Sony's failed hero shooter Concord, which shut down 2 weeks after it launched in 2024. How did a project developed by one of the most talented teams in the industry fail this quickly? We're going to take a look back. Okay, so here he is making the announcement on X. I'm sure no one is pointing and laughing. The Concordian timeline, Concord, Highguard, Marathon. Does Marathon come out this year? Yeah, I guess it does. Oh my God, yeah, Marathon, Horizon Hunters Gathering. Yeah, I think all these games are going to fail. The future of gaming, huh? Yeah, he was like, yeah, it's the future of gaming. Concord 2, Highguard didn't flop, said PC Gamer. Highguard, yeah, they did a lot of damage control for this game, but when you're... oh God, yeah, so they're bringing this up. This post aged like the finest of milks. Jeff Keighley, in 48 hours, I'll be accepting your apologies. People didn't think this game was going to ship. They didn't think it was going to launch. They're like, yeah, this game is, it's vaporware because we didn't hear anything about it. I think they knew it wasn't ready. This meme going around, so many memes. And the thing is that everybody is going to forget about this game in like 6 months because they'll probably release another money-losing AAA title, right? So yeah, he's looking like a fool now. Most of the controversy surrounding Highguard can be traced back to the Game Awards on December 11th. As the awards show was about to come to a close, Jeff announced the usual one more surprise reveal. After a lengthy monologue hyping up the secret project, They unveiled Highguard for the first time to the gaming masses. The problem is the announcement completely fell flat. Instead of being a successful showcase for Highguard, the reveal ended up becoming the catalyst for intense online backlash. You see, many players were disappointed in the Game Awards' final reveal and didn't believe Highguard was good enough of a surprise. Instead, fans of the show expected a major IP like Elden Ring or Intergalactic. Is anybody looking forward to Intergalactic? That's that Naughty Dog game. Yeah, I think it looks good. Immediately after the Game Awards ended, the entire narrative overshadowing the show was its disappointing final reveal. However, this disappointment soon transformed into mockery of Highguard as players turned their anger toward the game itself. Even though none of this was Wildlight Entertainment's fault, the new multiplayer became uncool in the eyes of many gamers and became a constant punching bag on social media. It was the blandest looking, first-person shooter thing ever. It was like people were like, yeah, these characters look like they were designed by AI. They look very generic. It looks like it looks like an Asian multiplayer mobile game and Tencent's behind it. So that explains a lot, right? Wildlight Entertainment goes silent after the Game Awards. They didn't say anything about it. Because of the silence, many players had forgotten the game was even launching, so when Wildlight Entertainment reappeared on social media in late January and revealed that Highguard would release on January 26th, it took many by surprise. There's no marketing to the lead-up. Hype for the game was in a weird place in terms of player awareness and anticipation. It's like, hey, remember that game from last month that you never heard of until last month? Well, it's coming out like tomorrow. Highguard officially launched on January 26th and initially was off to a respectable start. Within the first hour, it peaked at 97,000 players on Steam, according to SteamDB. However, things took a turn for the worse as the player count not only failed to rise, but quickly started to plummet just a few hours after it went live. What went wrong? So the map was too big and empty for a 3v3 mode. Matches had long stretches without action, lack of skill trees, performance issues on PC. Character designs are bland for a hero shooter. In-game currency is too expensive. Important game chat and party features were missing. If you just let it cook for another 6 months, you might have actually had a little more success. So while Highguard had a lot of unnecessary hate going into its launch, it's also true that the game didn't immediately click with many players who tried it out at launch. Yeah, I feel like we're moving past the blame the gamer stage at this point because it doesn't work. You blame the gamer, you blame the player, you blame the consumer, they move on. They don't buy your product, you lose your job. Right? So I mean it took people maybe 10 years to learn this lesson. They're seeing it, happen in real time now with Paramount and all this other shit, that when you chase your audience off and you run out of money, there's no more money to pay you, right? So even the media that supports these companies now, even the media is starting to realize this, and they're starting to change their tone a little bit because they know they're not going to keep readers if they keep attacking the audience. Again, 5 years ago, this whole article would have been the bigots and the Nazis and the homophobes and the whatever, there wasn't enough representation in the game, whatever. The angry chuds, the gamer gators, they chased off, they harassed the developers, and you guys made everybody feel bad, and it's all your fault, and it's your fault we can't have nice things. Like they're trying to do, God, what was that article we read the other day? It was Wired. They're still trying to blame Gamergate for everything that's going on in the world right now from like freaking 12 years ago. But that doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore, right? Players are going to be like, yeah, you know what? Well, it's closed. Don't want it. Mass layoffs hit Highguard's development team just weeks after launch. They knew it was dead on arrival. That's a lot of people, too. That is a lot of people working on this game. I mean, these games are too damn expensive to produce. You've got too much overhead, right? And I'm not for replacing everybody with AI or anything like that. I'm just saying I think these games are too fucking bloated. Movies are too bloated. Animation's too bloated. You need to go back to a lean and mean team, and everybody on that team has a definite purpose. They're not just kind of there because you needed to have, so many writers in the writer's room or whatever, like the WGA was pushing for. The first sign that something was wrong was when it was revealed on February 11th. Wildlife was hit with mass layoffs. We're talking 2 weeks after the game launched. They're already hit with layoffs. Even more shocking, it was the vast majority of the game's development team. They told everybody it was going to be fine. They're like, oh, it's okay, guys. We're going to keep the game going. Highguard's not dead. Bullshit. Everybody knew Highguard was dead at that point. Highguard's team player numbers had all but completely collapsed. On the day the layoffs were announced, the multiplayer only managed to net 3,000 active players on the PC platform. While we don't know the console numbers, it was now apparent that the game was in a dire situation. So they announced it was going to shut down on March 12th. Highguard's final update arriving soon. Thank you for playing with us. Wow. Well, somebody's got to play with you, because a lot of people are playing Highguard, and they're basically playing with themselves, I think, at this point, because nobody's playing this game. Today, we're sharing difficult news. We have made the decision to permanently shut down Highguard on March 12th. Since launch, more than 2 million players stepped into Highguard's world. You shared feedback, created content, and many believed in what we were building. For that, we're deeply grateful. Despite the passion and hard work of our team, we have not been able to build a sustainable player base to support the game long term. No shit. Servers will remain online until March 12th. Is anybody going to bother? We hope you'll jump in with us one more time to show your support and get those final great matches in while we still can. The team is excited to release one final game update to enjoy in the remaining life of the game. A week. We'll be adding a new warden, new weapons, account level progression, skill trees. Oh my God, guys, skill trees you get to use for like 3 days. That's cool. Full patch notes are coming. Let's see. All of this brings us to today when they said they're going to shut down. How did Highguard become Concord 2? Why did it fail so quickly? Someone blamed Jeff Keighley and the Game Awards, a final reveal for Highguard's failure. Yeah, I think it was premature. They said it's short-sighted to place the blame solely on the Game Awards. Highguard might have seen even lower launch numbers had it not been shown off, or they could have just waited until the game was actually, cooked, so it didn't get cooked, right? However, it's also true that many players, they said a lot of people were negative. They said a lot of players did try out Highguard at launch and didn't love it. Now, you could argue all the negative sentiment around it might have tainted player experiences, but I believe that if Highguard was a masterpiece, it would have hooked players a few hours after gameplay began. Right? So people were playing it. They're trying it out. They didn't like it. They're leaving negative reviews. They said it sucks. It was empty. But I believe that if Highguard was a masterpiece, it would have hooked players after a few hours of gameplay. Instead, the users who did give it a fair shake quickly bounced off the multiplayer just hours after it went live. That's the thing. Like, you can only make excuses. You can only blame gamers for so much. You can only blame consumers for so much. Eventually, if the product itself is not good, it's not good enough to sustain their interest, even if it is objectively good, but it's not what they want, you can't really blame them for not spending money on it, right? For not spending time with it. And this whole era of blaming gamers, blaming fans, whatever, it's ending, because we're seeing where it leads to. You actually chase people off. People do not give your games or your comics or your cartoons or whatever the fuck it is you're making, they don't give it a chance now, because you have spent the last 10 years attacking people, saying you don't like it, you don't like the way it looks. Well, you must be a bigot, Nazi, homophobe. You don't want to be a bigot, Nazi, homophobe. Shut up. Don't say anything. If you can't say anything nice, just don't say anything. Consumers are going to talk, man. They're going to leave reviews. I mean, we're in the age of Yelp, right? I mean, Yelp reviews can destroy you, and that sucks. But that's where we're at. I mean, you want social media to help promote your product, promote your game, whatever, but it is a double-edged sword. If you're asking for people's opinions, you can't just say, we only want positive opinions. If you're asking for people to help you market your shit, then your shit has to be worth promoting, right? Via word of mouth. And it could have gone the other way. It could have been that people were skeptical of the game. They played the game was the most amazing thing they've ever played, and they told all their friends to play it, and then you'd see those player counts skyrocket. But that's not what happened, right? So yeah, I'm just saying. Same with Concord. Concord could have actually been a good game, maybe. People had a lot of concerns about the DEI stuff. I think they were out there bragging they had no white men or whatever as playable characters or on the team or whatever it was. I'm like, oh my God, what year is it? Was it 2017 again? But yeah, put up or shut up. And so what you do is drop a game that shuts people up, and then they come around to it. And this has happened before. I mean, there have been a couple cases where people have been really skeptical. I know Pal World was a huge surprise for a lot of people. They thought it was going to be a kind of a joke. Like, oh yeah, it's Pokemon with guns. And they're like, oh no, the game's actually pretty good. And then everybody started telling their friends the game's pretty good. And then next thing you know, Nintendo comes knocking, because they want to shut them down because it's too good. Yeah, so this is a huge disaster. I think we're going to see in the coming years, we're going to see a shit ton more layoffs in gaming, But I think we're going to see companies being a lot more careful with what they greenlight, and everybody keeps chasing after this Fortnite dollar. And I'm sorry, Fortnite's got that locked down. Free-to-play shooters, whatever, all that shit. It's been done. It's been done to death. People don't want games that are always online anyway, right? I think people are kind of moving away from that. I think a lot of people would love to have more couch play games. They would love to have more offline experiences, more self-contained games. Why are you throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at titles like this that are going to crash and burn? And we saw this before, even before Concord with Suicide Squad. They changed the formula. Like the Arkham games were money in the bank, and you had to chase this. You had to chase the online shooter, and that's what happened. So I don't know. Gonna wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.